in a coastal village by the Whispering Sea, where the palms bent like dancers greeting the dawn, lived a girl named Amina. She was quiet, curious, and unlike the other children who ran to chase waves or mend fishing nets, Amina spent her days with a small wooden brush and the colors she made from flowers, sand, and crushed shells. She loved to paint things no one else could see. One afternoon, while the tide sang its slow song, her grandmother found her painting on the wall of their hut, strokes of blue and white that seemed to move. "What is this, my child?" the old woman asked. Amina looked up, eyes shining. "It's the wind, Nana." Her grandmother laughed softly. "But no one can see the wind." "Then I'll show them," Amina whispered, dipping her brush again. As years passed, her strange passion became the talk of the village. When storms came, fishermen repaired nets. When drought threatened, mothers prayed. But Amina only sat beneath the baobab tree, painting invisible paths on scraps of palm cloth. The children teased her gently. "How can you paint what has no shape?" The elders shook their heads. "She wastes her time chasing air." But Amina's grandmother watched with quiet pride, whispering, "Every gift begins as a mystery." One year, the wind changed. It came not as a whisper, but as a roar. Dark clouds gathered, and the sea turned gray. A storm unlike any the villagers had seen rolled from the horizon, swallowing boats and bending palms until they creaked like drums. Fear gripped every heart. The elders ordered everyone to gather inland, but no one knew which way the wind would strike. It circled them like an angry spirit, unpredictable, wild. And then, amid the confusion, someone noticed Amina. She stood before her hut, painting furiously, colors flying in streaks of blue, green, and silver. Her eyes were closed. Her hands moved as if guided by something unseen. "Amina," her mother cried, "come inside before the storm takes you." But the girl did not answer. She painted faster. When she stopped, her grandmother gasped. Across the wall stretched a vast mural, swirling patterns like waves and spirals of air. Lines curved in perfect rhythm, pointing toward the hills. "That's the path," the old woman whispered. "She's showing where the wind will go." The villagers hesitated, but the storm's howl was growing louder. Trusting the old woman's words, they fled along the path Amina had painted, every man, woman, and child. Behind them, the wind struck the coast with a force that tore trees from their roots. But the path she painted stayed calm. Not a leaf stirred there. When the storm finally passed, the village stood silent. Every hut near the shore had been swept away, except the one where Amina had painted the wind. Days later, the sun returned, shy but warm. The villagers rebuilt their homes, whispering in awe of the girl who had seen the unseen. They came to her with gratitude and questions. "How did you know where the wind would go?" Amina smiled faintly. "I didn't know. I just listened." Listened. Yes, the wind speaks, but not with words. It dances around the trees, sighs over the sand. I only painted what it told me. From that day on, she became known as the girl who painted the wind. Travelers came from distant lands to see her murals. Not just paintings, but living stories. Each stroke carried movement. When light touched her art, it seemed to breathe. She painted the tides, the seasons, even dreams, not as eyes saw them, but as hearts felt them. Children learned to listen to the breeze instead of running from it. Fishermen studied her lines before setting sail. And when clouds gathered again, they would ask, "Amina, what does the wind say today?" As Amina grew older, her art covered the walls of the village. They called it the moving village because everything seemed alive, leaves swirling, waves crashing, stars twinkling. No one mocked her anymore. Even the elders bowed their heads when she spoke. But Amina herself remained humble. "I only painted what others refused to see," she often said. When her grandmother passed, Amina painted a great spiral over the woman's resting place, soft white lines swirling into the blue of the sky. That night, the wind rose again, gentle and warm, carrying the scent of the sea. It wrapped around Amina like a familiar embrace. "Thank you," she whispered into the breeze, "for always speaking." And if one listened closely, they might have heard a soft reply, a sigh that sounded very much like a grandmother's laughter. Years later, children of the new generation would sit beneath the baobab and listen to stories about her. They would point to the faded walls and swear they still moved. That sometimes, when the wind passed through, the murals shimmered with light, as if Amina herself was still painting, unseen but present. And so, in the coastal village of Ntoya, where sea and sky met in endless conversation, her story lived on. For it was said that long after her brush was gone, the wind still followed her lines, and those who listened could still hear her whisper, "Vision sees what eyes cannot."